we didn't shoot like a normal movie where you would do one side of coverage and you would take half a day to set that up, and then everybody takes a break for 4 hours. You take another half a day to set the other half up, and then we shoot that side. And we just ran with the cameras around the set, capturing things sort of randomly and spontaneously. It was the only way we could really get everything that we needed done in the shortest possible time.
Especially on Fridays. I mean, we ran to the bank at 4 o'clock.
Oh my God.
To deposit those checks.
You have no idea. We were still waiting for that bounce right up until the end. But, you know, as a result, there's a lot of what in movie lingo we like to call fuck-ups.
Yes.
In the movie. And so we've put together a little montage of a lot of these fuck-ups that normally they cut out of movies, but on our movie, we celebrate and embrace them. We hope you enjoy it.
Enjoy the fuck-ups.
We will exhale out, and then we're coming down for donkey punch. Everyone, donkey punch, punch, thrust, punch, thrust, punch. Legs to the sky, touching the stars, hands on back, and thrust kick left, thrust kick right, diamond. Diamond, hold it, bring it down, push it up, bring it down, push it up. Now we're performing a toe touch. 1, 2, down, toe touch. Everyone, let's go. Good, good. Hopping crescent. Everyone hop, okay. Other side, other side. Good, good. Not so good back there, you stop. Now everyone, down, Nose thrust, nose thrust, nose thrust. We're playing just the tip, just seeing how it feels. Smelling inside, not so good, we come up. Down, we want more because it's all that's here. Down, down, up, we're out, we're done. Go. Go. Back. 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 Back.
Yeah.
Up. And thrust. And thrust. Pull. Pull it in. Pull it in. Get over here. Thrust. Thrust. Well, now we're doing the Street Fighter. Hadouken. Hadouken. Nobody? Okay, there we go. Hadouken. All right. Oh, good. Good. And done. All right. Hit the glass! Hit the glass!
Hot day in the fucking office today, eh?
I think we knew there'd be a Crank 2 when the DVD sales sort of took off on the movie, you know? On C1.
The first movie was a little bit of a hit, you know. It was a little bit of a hit. We got a following for that movie.
Well, not just
actually,
that, we pissed a lot of people off.
We pissed a lot of people off, but that movie, I mean, Crank, we don't really understand it, but somehow there's a lot of sick people out there, and that movie really hit a nerve.
And we cured him.
It hit a nerve, and you know, the studio came to us asking for a Crank 2.
Specifically, the first conversation with them was they don't want to do it. They didn't want to direct it, they wanted to write it, but they didn't really want to direct it because they didn't really think they could top themselves in just kind of the outlandishness of it all.
And we originally had no interest in doing a Crank 2 because, I mean, you know, we killed the guy at the end of the first movie. I didn't want to do another Crank movie anyway. It just sounded ridiculous and just like kind of lame. But we were just like, you know what, we'll just sell out and take the money and we'll write one for you and then you can get some other chump to direct it.
So they wrote the script after we begged them to write the script. They'll probably tell you a different story. And once they wrote the script, they're like, oh, we have to direct this movie.
So we wrote this script. We didn't even know if Jason would want to do it. And a crazy thing happened while we were writing the script is that we fell in love with the script. It was so outrageous and ridiculous, and we just loved it so much that once we got done with it, we were like, there's absolutely no way, A, anybody else could direct this, or B, there's no way we would let anybody else direct this.
And C, we were broke and we needed the money.
We were broke.
So
But then we sent the script to Statham,
yeah.
and Statham like lost his mind. I mean, Statham was just like, it's the greatest thing I've ever read. It's the most fun movie that I've read since Lock, Stock.
Well, I've learned my lesson when it comes to reading a script by Mark and Brian, because you just know anything goes. So the shock value is, oh, this is never going to stay in the film, which is how I responded to the first one. It's just, oh, this is going to be, you know, ever more ramped up, ever more stupid, more offensive, more ridiculous, more action, more everything, you know. So you get completely excited by how ludicrous and outrageous the script was in part 2. It was like, fuck me, this is gonna take it to the next level.
I mean, he was just so ballistic, and we were just like, man, let's rev it up and do this again.
My initial thought was, I pray to God we can make this movie, but probably no one will let us make it. But then Jason read it and loved it as much as we did, and then but he basically said, if you change the script at all, I'm not gonna do the movie.
You know, it's so different to read these kind of scripts because it's a free license to do what you like. They're trying to keep a certain amount of realism about the people that are in it, but again, they're a little over the top and a little bit pushed in a direction that is very favourable to me, anyway.
The whole script was a dare. I mean, in a way, we were daring the studio to make the movie. Pretty much everything in there, you're writing and you're thinking like, there's no way. There's just no way. Like if they read this, there's no way they're actually going to let us do it.
And we don't believe that they actually ever read the script.
They couldn't have. If you see the movie, there's no way the studio could have read the script before they greenlit the movie. It's just nuts. Like studios just don't do that. This is a weird ass movie.
I mean, there's, flames coming off dude's head, and he's like this, at the end of the movie.
I don't know. I mean, I think some people read it and some people didn't. And the people that didn't read it, I'm glad they didn't read it because they wouldn't have wanted to make it.
By the time we got it to the end of the script, we were just like, all right, we're bringing Ricky Verona back as a head in a jar. Surely now they'll shut it down. They may have been with us up to this point, but when they get to that point, they'll just be like, all right, this is like a practical joke. You guys aren't serious. And nobody called us out on it. They were just like, great, we love it. We're like, okay, let's make it.
Well, I think it really came down to once Jason was so into it, it's a kind of a runaway train. I mean, you make the movie.
Let's get right to the point. We wanted to see Amy strip. Personally, Brian and I, that was something we came up with, and we dreamed about it, and we made it happen.
Crank 2 is about wish fulfillment.
Yep.
Going into this film, it's sort of the way I went into the first one, where it's so outrageous and fun and over the top, and you can't really be in the gray area in any way. It's either you have to go all or nothing. So for me, I just have to throw myself into it.
Well, luckily we had, the benefit of the first movie behind us. When we did the Chinatown scene in the first movie, she was real nervous, and it took a lot of, sort of hand-holding and talking her through it and convincing her that, like, look, the way that we put it together.
The team of psychologists.
Yeah, and, and a lot of lubrication and things that just made it a smoother process, It was like the first time.
Gliding lubricants.
Mm-hmm. Numbing, numbing agents. But, she needed to trust us that it was going to work and it was going to be funny. So when we came time to do the second movie, we had that to sort of build off of.
Honestly, when I read the script of Crank 2, I was like, oh, I'm not so sure about all of it. But at the same time, it had to go somewhere. I mean, Crank 1 set such a bar that it has to be better than that. They have to aim higher. So my character definitely sort of falls off the deep end.
But I mean, at the end of the day, the things that we make her do in the movie for some reason, our pimp hand with Amy Smart is like super strong, and it's like we tell her to do stuff, she just does it, I think we should change her name, by the way, to Amy Hot.
Amy Do-Gooder.
Because she's not that smart. I'm kidding. She's super smart, but she's also super hot.
Agreed. In the first movie, we shot Efren Ramirez with his brother Carlos Ramirez.
Empty.
And Brian needs another beer. And we shot him at a dance club.
What if, per se, it's a club scene. I have a twin brother. He's a great dancer. Well, just throw him in, like in the background. Why not? I mean, it's Crank, right? So they went for it.
Some people may know Efren has a real twin brother, which is Carlos Ramirez, and they are actually twins. They both look like Pedro.
They came from the same egg.
It's pretty awesome. And in the first movie, for some reason, when we did that freaky club scene with Kalo, we had Carlos come down. And I don't really know why we did it, except like, you have a twin brother? That's so crazy and creepy. Like, let's dress him up too, and you guys could dance together and like make out on the dance
It'd
floor.
be incestual and weird. And
Yeah, and it was really gnarly.
controversial.
And we started getting really erotic, and it was a little weird because my brother, my identical twin, and I was thinking that if my parents see this or whatever, or maybe I'm just gonna go burn in hell for this. It was just weird. So, and then there's another scene where I'm getting ready in the bathroom. I go, well, let's just add my brother too. So we did that as well. And that was just odd.
So we got Carlos come down, but in the actual movie, like, you don't really notice that it's his twin brother. But so on this one, we flash back to that sequence, and it's kind of like, see, you didn't see that guy? Of course he has a twin brother. He was there the whole time.
Confucius said, calm as a bitch.
I'll be back.
David Carradine's amazing. We didn't even have that as an option early on. We were searching for a real Asian Mal who was in the age range of 95 to 115.
We wanted to find a 100-year-old Chinese guy. We were looking forever. We were like, there's gotta be a 100-year-old Chinese guy. Or at least a Chinese guy who looks 100 years old. I mean, the guy was supposed to be like Yoda. He's supposed to be like that big, you know?
No, I think they originally had the idea of hiring some little Japanese guy or something, and they decided it'd be funnier if they used me.
So we couldn't find anything close to that. And then at the end of the day, it was like, wait a minute, Kung Fu. Let's just go that way with it.
I mean, you know, an actor always has a store of dialects. Actually, what worked was when I put the teeth in, I automatically kind of talk like that. These things are amazing. I might take the teeth as well. You know how long it takes to get a dentist to do something like this? And they did this in like, you know, 3 or 4 days. You know, I get most of my characterization from wardrobe and makeup, really. I just did 5 hours of makeup today for about 15 minutes work. So the makeup, I let the makeup pretty much play the character.
When you can get David Carradine to come down and do a character like that in your movie, I mean, you're having a good day.
My dad just told me
that's fun.
that was like his favorite TV show.
That's a hot TV show,
And he
man.
didn't know that he was in the movie. He flipped out. He called me, and he was so excited about it.
So that was the thing that finally got your dad to see the movie?
Yeah, so he got to see the movie.
Yeah.
So that was pretty cool.
It's not easy to get him to come
Thanks,
out.
Pops.
Clifton's an oddball, man. He's as nuts as
just
we are.
read it.
So yeah, I mean, the thing about a script like Crank 2 is it really kind of separates people out. You know, a lot of the sifting of talent is done in the script stage. There's certain people who will read that script and just they just don't get it at all. Like they just don't get it, which is fine.
Like us.
Yeah, we don't get it. So I mean, it's totally fine, you know. But then the actors that do get it are just all over it, you know. And Clifton was one of those guys, and he read the script. He was just like, I'm always looking for something different, you know, something unique, something I haven't seen before. And I've never seen this before. He's like, I don't know if it's good or bad, but I know I haven't seen it before, so let's get in there.
I gotta say, I've read the original Crank before Jason was even attached to consider Chelios. And at the time, I really didn't, you know, I was studying and reading all these very realistic screenplays, and when I read this one, I didn't quite understand the theme, or even like, it's almost like borderline a different genre. So when they called me for Crank 2, I'd read it and I thought, well, let me watch the first one. And I watched the first one. It was such a hell of a ride. I thought, oh, now I get it. This is it.
We've seen a lot of over-the-top, quirky villains, and
But not one with such a perfect grill.
no.
You know, on the page, it wasn't quite working for me. I just kind of thought that, he was just missing so many nuances. And I told the boys, I said, look, man, I says, you know, all due respect to the other actors, I want to build something that's really memorable. And, you know, I can't do it with what's on the page right now. I said, you guys are going to take me off the leash.
It was tough. I mean, like to invent that character, it wasn't automatic. He didn't just show up with that version of El Jarón, that kind of like, you know, high-pitched nasal sort of Elvis version of El Jarón was so cool, you know, and that was a process of like, what can we do? You know, let's find something else. You know, we've seen this kind of like Scarface guy before. We've seen this guy before. We've seen this guy before. But we've never quite seen that particular flavor of gangster before.
And they said, well, that's why we're calling you. We're taking you off the leash. I said, cool, man. I says, I don't know what this means, but I'm going to start with this. Elvis Presley, 68 to 71 circa. I don't know why. I'll call you in a week. They're like, cool. Hola, chill.
An amazing, amazing actor. I mean, his talent is few and far between. I mean, he is just superb. I've met Cliff before on you know, a party here and a party there, and you know, the fact that we get to work together is great, you know. And he just brings some credibility to some of the nonsense that we create, and it just gives it that weight. And you know, you need that in this kind of film. And his performance, it just blew us all away. We was like, fuck me, that is brilliant.
This is definitely, you know, a boys club, and I love the directors. I love Jason. I love everybody on this. It's so fun to be back here for the second one, and it you know, it feels like a family that's already been established.
We always like to create a really fun environment on our sets. We don't take ourselves seriously. We take the work seriously, we don't take ourselves seriously. So we like to create something that's fun where people can come and play, and basically we surround ourselves with people who do their jobs better than we could ever do our jobs.
You know, we've worked with almost all those people, either on Pathology, Gamer, or the first Crank, or all three of them. That we know we've developed a crew that we can all trust. They know how to run and gun. They get it that Neville, Dean, and Taylor are not going to do. If the day's 10 hours long, you're not going to do 10% of the work the first hour, and 10% of the work the second hour, and 10% of the work the third hour, and work your way in a linear way through the day to get to the end of the day, and then tie it with a nice little bow and go on to your next day. It's going to be, you know, it's going to be a freak show. It's going to be run and gun. It's going to be complete chaos, really organized chaos.
The first one was, I don't know how you'd describe it. It was 6 weeks of the best one I've ever had. And it's not the usual process of making a movie. Brian Taylor and Mark Neville Dean are quite unusual in their methods and techniques when it comes to making a film. You know, you've got to have a small part of your brain missing not to want to reunite and sort of go to work with those two people again. So I was in from even the suggestion of doing part two.
You know, we've lost people along the way that don't like that type of filmmaking. And we've kind of been able to replace the people that aren't into it with different people, and got to the point now on our fourth movie that we have a pretty solid crew that actually get off on it. It's not a burden. It's not, well, fuck, at least I'm going to get paid. They're coming to have fun. We're all going to have fun, and we're just going to make something totally original. Whether people go see it or not, whether it's successful, we don't really think about that as we're going along. We just try to stay true to the script and true to the way that Neville, Dean, and Taylor want to run a set.
Would you like some rice, man? Potatoes. Just potatoes, only potatoes. I'll get some potatoes, man. You don't like it. You don't like it, man, you shoot these guys. Do not shoot me.
It's just fun, you know, when you're shooting a movie like Crank, you want to keep the energy up at all times. So we just kind of joke and hang out with our friends and, you know, make movies.
I can't believe they paid us to make this movie, to be honest. We should have wore masks every day. I mean, it was so fun to make.
It was. It was a blast.
It's that seize the day kind of nonsense where it says that we're just going to have fun today no matter what. And, you know, David Rubin and myself call it just getting the band back together. It's like it's a 100-person band, but we're just going to get the band back together. We're going to get into our own little insular world, and we're just going to, you know, make some fucking punk rock.
You know, honestly, we shot this other movie called Gamer with Gerard Butler.
Not with Corey Haim.
This was a big budget, sort of like action spectacular with gigantic battle scenes and things blowing up. And we shot that on the Red system, which is an amazing camera system in and of itself. But it's kind of like a 35mm shoot. And you end up at the end of the day with these big ass cameras, and we operate everything ourselves. So we're running around in the middle of explosions and battle scenes and cars crashing and stuff, and we're holding these heavy cameras. And by the end of that shoot, we were just broken physically. I mean, we were just like, we'd had it. You know?
Spiritually.
And spiritually.
God was not on our side at
emotionally,
that point.
And sexually broken.
I feel like the first one, it was, first of all, they were shooting it with those little HD cameras, but they were connected to that equipment that was like 60 pounds. So when Mark would shoot on his rollerblades, like he had to have this massive backpack, and I don't think they had as much flexibility in the first one, and then they went to do the game, and I think at that point they got these better cameras that were smaller and more portable. So in this one, it feels like they're just able to maneuver better.
We only took like a 2 or 3 week break before we ran in and did Crank 2, so we were just like, you know what? If we want to move the camera the way that we want to move it in this movie, it's a lot of moving. We're going to need to just completely break some new ground, because there's no way we can take these heavy cameras and do the kind of things that we wanted to do. We wanted to move the camera so fast and crazy and unpredictably and work so quickly that there would have been no way to shoot it traditionally.
They pulled out the Canon XH-A1, which is a great camera. It's a camera that I had already shot 3 or 4 features on at that point. So I was super familiar with it. I was like, okay, great, you want to shoot with this? Perfect. This is going to be awesome. I know we can pull this off. The one camera I didn't expect for them to pull out was the Canon HF10, which is like this little camera that's like this big that wasn't even out yet. Actually, the camera that they put in my hands to test with was not a prototype, but like a limited initial run that hadn't even gone to stores yet.
For a lot of our career, I think we've just been waiting for the technology to catch up to us. You know, we've always had ways we wanted to move the camera and crazy things we wanted to do with the camera, but the little tiny cameras that we wanted to use just didn't have the image quality that let us do it. And this is the first time when we were able to get our hands on cameras that we could break, throw, run over, just do outrageous things with, and yet the image quality was as good or better than like real movies.
I remember I showed up for a test day a few months before we started shooting, just to do a test with these cameras to have filmed out and show to Lakeshore, show to Lionsgate, just to prove, hey, a movie can look good and it can resolve well off of these little cameras.
And then when we really liked what it looked like, then we were just like, thumbs up, y'all. And we had to convince the studio at that point, so we took everything we shot.
And we threw it in the trash, and then we showed them some scenes from Batman, and they're like, damn, this looks good.
Yeah, our initial thoughts when they brought up those prosumer cameras, it wasn't skepticism, it's more like confusion would be the word. Because honestly, they're the first ones that told us about Reds. So when we shot, when we were shooting Gamer with the Reds and realizing how amazing those cameras were, and we had never really heard of them before, Mark and Brian. I don't think anybody had. They were at the forefront, kind of dealing with Red as they were in the final stages of developing those cameras. We had built up enough trust with them that they were always ahead of the curve. So when they brought these prosumer cameras up, we knew that they were probably ahead of the curve.
I don't think we could have made the movie any other way. I think it's impossible for us to have made Crank 2 any other way but the way that we made it. We shot 300 hours almost of footage in 30 days. That's more than they shot in Titanic in 2 years.
It's very unique because they can put cameras in places that, these cameras are smaller than the mag box for a regular camera. So you can put these in between your leg, you can put them on pole. There's not a place that these cameras can't go. So you're providing a unique way of shooting a movie.
But once they explained the technology behind them and how versatile they were going to be and flexible, and we could, at $3,000, we can buy 30 of these things, and if they bust, who cares?
For the limo crash scene, we had like 18 cameras on that thing, even though not all of them made it into the cut, and I think we destroyed 2 of them.
Camera won't respond. It won't do anything. Still rolling though.
We got a bunch of great stuff just because the cameras are so small, we can put them anywhere.
It's not quite as easy as it might look, but the best part about it is how versatile having a little handheld camera, especially with a maniac like Neveldine, and all the things he likes to do.
I shot a lot of stuff on rollerblades. In the first movie, I was hanging off a motorcycle, probably going 50 miles an hour, with a 62-pound backpack and a 17-pound camera. On this movie, I was holding something about as heavy as a beer, and it saved my back,
Full beer.
full beer, like as heavy as a full beer. And I really saved my back, and you're just able to maneuver around cars and kind of get into places that you can't get into with these giant camera rigs.
I mean, this movie is a very handheld movie. It's very obvious when you see it, but these cameras are so little that just like any little vibration in your hand will show up on screen. I mean, you can actually see your, on some long shots, you can actually see your heartbeat shake the cameras because they're so light.
Well, we had special rigs for special people, and and we decided
Everything about this movie was special.
It's very special. One of the things we wanted to do was we had this crazy idea we could create a ghetto bullet time rig. So basically, we took a piece of speed rail and we bent it into 180 degrees, and we stuck 9 cameras on it. We were thinking, we can capture this crazy matrix look, but move with the camera, and we could kind of scratch mix between the different cameras and give it a static yet moving feel.
And we would just point them all at the same spot, and it was light enough to be handheld. You could actually hold the thing in your hands, so you could run around with it handheld, or Mark could skate with it in his hands while chasing Jason down the street.
Does it make any sense? It should. So we did it for the nunchuck scene in the movie. We did it for some of the Jason running in the alley scene. I think we did we use it for the sex scene? No, we never did. We actually were going to use it for the sex scene, and we dropped the ball on that one. It's very unfortunate. It would have been neat to watch humping in sort of that Matrix style. We'll get that on the third one.
And then the other stuff was just, let's not deal with having a crane. Let's just put the camera on the end of a 10-foot piece of speed rail, and we'll put a wide lens on it and throw it and just swing it in our arms and get crazy shots. And that was something else that we did.
This is version 1, so we'll get that going a little later on. It'll work a little better.
It was almost like if it was something we couldn't build from Home Depot, we weren't going to use it. That was pretty much what we did for this movie.
For this movie, the camera's that big, approximately, so we're not using $15,000 a day rental techno crane or something like that. Is that how much those are? They're a lot,
Yeah.
man. We're not using something like that. We're going to Home Depot, we're buying a pole, and we're bolting or we're duct taping a camera onto the end of the pole, and that's our techno crane.
Robert Sharman, the sound mixer, was just tooling around at lunch one day with his remote control car, and we're like, hey, I think we can put a camera on this. So he put a camera on it and did a test and showed us the footage. And our favorite part about it was that you could literally drive underneath vehicles. You could drive under cars because it was so low profile and so small, which is another shot you can never get with a big camera. And so we ended up using it, chasing Jason and Ephraim, or I guess it might have been the stunt guy, down the road, chasing them, and then they pulled away, and then we drove underneath the car completely as they came back around again. It was really cool.
Action!
I think I'll do it.
Get the J camera.
That was probably the lamest thing I've ever seen. There was nothing good about that. Nothing. He's fired. Put him back in the sound card.
Oh shit.
Unbelievable.
I don't believe any great new film tricks or film scenes or nothing comes out of conformity, and these guys are anything but that. They break all the filmmaking rules, and when you break rules, you come up with new, different stuff that's exciting.
There were so many times on Crank 2 when we were saying, God, imagine if we'd had these cameras on Crank 1. We could have done in this scene or this scene or this scene.
And it was actually a really smart choice, I think. I'm happy that we did it. It allowed us to shoot a film in a way that I've never seen a movie like this on the big screen. It's amazing to be part of something so new and different. At least it's different. That's what I like about it.
I think we wanted to show in LA that is rarely shown on film. It's usually the Hollywood Hills and the Hollywood sign and the Capitol Tower and the beach and all this kind of stuff.
We picked the dirtiest, grimiest places places where we had, you know, telephone wires and power lines running through, you know, every shot we had. It was really important to us to show a different side of LA, to not show the pretty side, and not show the so-called edgy side of downtown. Like, let's just go to places that people actually work and live, that are just freaky LA spots.
You can feel it on the film, that we're not trying to fabricate a rough and tumble kind of area. We're actually in there, and it's not the safest place to film, but it did help that we were filming during the day, so you know we could kind of keep an eye on everything. But those places are for real.
There's certain spots in LA that get shot all the time. You know, you see them in a million movies, and we really want to avoid those. We want to show some looks of LA that just nobody had ever seen in movies before. So we went to some crazy ass communities. I mean, places that were just like almost like third world in LA. Just so awesome.
Go away! It's on now!
Bill Clark, you gotta love him. We've never dealt with paparazzi. I mean, it was movie number 4 for us as writers, directors, or producers, and I don't think we've ever had paparazzi come to a set, and they were on set half of the shoot, and they were driving us nuts because Brian and I are both camera operating. We both have a camera, and we don't really have any rules to what we're going to shoot exactly in a scene. We like to follow the actors around, so we're like spinning around doing 270s and 360s around the actors, and everywhere we looked, fucking guy with a camera or a video camera was standing there trying to shoot Bailing's nipples. Hoo-hoo. And hoo-hoo.
The way to deal with the paparazzi is just try to make an agreement with them once you realize that they're going to be relentless, to not get too close, to try to stay out of the shots, you know, to be cooperative, to go away under certain circumstances. And for the most part, they are relatively cooperative. I mean, there's a couple, you know, total douchebags that think that they're somehow saving the world.
You know, you've got some dude just standing there holding a camera, just doing this, looking at you like in the background. It's kind of a pain in the ass to deal with. You know, I had grips flashing them with mirrors and stuff to try to get them away, and then we found out that that's illegal and you can't do it anymore. So we stopped doing that. But it was definitely a pain in the ass. It was getting to be a nuisance at one point. I was like, how did they even know we were there?
And then, worst comes to worst, Neville Dean goes over and yells at him, and they leave.
I remember Mark freaking out on the one dude, like saying, "Get the fuck out of my shot." And that was a good day.
Neville Dean literally almost beat one of these guys down. Like I could see he got the crazy eyes. He gets crazy eyes sometimes, and he like threw down the camera and just started heading for this guy. We were just like, "Oh boy, lawsuit. This is gonna be bad. This is gonna be bad."
Get the fuck out of my shot! We're making a movie, you idiots! Fucking move faster, motherfucker! Get the fuck off my set! I'm trying to shoot! Move! We're making a movie!
And the guy was just like a deer in the headlights. He never expected it. He was just like,
I believe you know, I'm overworked and overpaid. And when you're overworked and overpaid, you tend to do ridiculous things like chase paparazzi. But we asked the guy to leave, you know, 10, 15 times, and you just want to shoot a scene and you want to move on and you want to make your days and you want to shoot while the sun's still shining. And this guy was just fucking us up. Originally, it was a train, actually, and
we couldn't afford a train. So.
We couldn't afford a train that was blocking, you know, the police vehicle to get across the road. So we made it an actor's strike. We didn't think that was edgy enough, so we turned it into a porn actor's strike.
We knew it was the greatest idea for that particular scene in the world.
We had this guy at AV News, I think it's AV News, Adult Video News, and he had the mobile numbers to Lexington Steele and Jenna Hayes and Ed Powers and Nick Manning. And we had, I think, David Rubin just call them up and see if they wanted to come down for a day.
We put Rubin and a couple other people on the case of tracking down porn stars, which is, you know, like herding cats. It's a disaster. And we got what we got. But the good thing about it is there was the first Crank. So when you call a porn star and ask them if they've seen Crank, invariably they've seen Crank many, many times.
Basically everybody across the board, every porn actor we called said yes to it. One guy wasn't available, Peter North wasn't available, and then Max Hardcore was in jail. And Max was completely upset that he wasn't in the movie, and He really badly wants to be the star of Crank 3, so we're negotiating with him right now.
But then you have to hope that they show up and then they get their phone disconnected, and it's not as glamorous as people might think porn is.
Ron Jeremy came in last second because a random extra who was on set happened to be best friends with him. He said, you know, you got Nick Manning, you got Jenna Hayes, you got Lexington Steele. Where's Ron Jeremy? And we're like, well, he's not going to want to do our stupid little movie. He's like, absolutely. He loves Crank.
Ron Jeremy was pissed.
Ron was. He was mad.
Pissed. He showed up. He was like, you guys are doing a porn scene? You didn't call me? What's the matter with you? You think I'm played out? We're like, no, Ron, you're awesome. You're great. I mean, come on. We were going to call you. We just...
It's very confusing.
Yeah, Ron Jeremy shows up unannounced. We never called Ron Jeremy. Somehow he found out about it. And then he was awesome. So it was cool. We didn't really think that he'd want to do it because he'd been in so many movies that I'm not exactly sure why we didn't get in touch with him, but once he showed up, it is classic.
It's kind of exciting, playing a character of a guy banging on a police patrol car. I'm basically a glorified extra with dialogue. I hate to say, I'm basically the atmosphere who says a few things.
I mean, basically, Ron cast himself. Like, he just showed up and he was like, I'm in this movie. We're like, yeah, you are. Okay, good.
You don't say no to Ron.
You don't. He was great.
Because that thing can hurt you.
I'm having fun being a glorified extra. You know, it's fun. I was free today, and I like these guys, and they want to use me in future projects. So work leads to work, which then leads to work. And doing behind the scenes leads to dick, but it's fun to do anyway.
But I think it ended up being one of the funnier scenes in the movie. It's again, unapologetic, and it may offend some people, but, you know, there's a lot of porn in the world.
For the most part, the way that they shoot makes it easier to design because they shoot with such small cameras and they have so many cameras available that you can just design the stunt and the cameras can just go all around the stunt. So it actually gives you more freedom to do, you don't have to think about how you're going to set something up and then do it again for a different angle, which you usually have to do in most films. With them, it's so like run and gun and so crazy and frantic that they're just kind of all over the place. So you really only have to design the stunt to go one way, and then they're going to film it and move around the stunt instead of the stunt having to conform to the cameras. It's a really cool way of filmmaking. It puts you more in the action, I think. Well, the stunt guys are pretty much, you can kind of let them, you can explain what you want something to look like, and then you can kind of let them alone and know that they're going to produce something for you. With the actors, although Jason and Amy are very go for it. I mean, Jason he's a stunt man. I mean, he's amazing. He you know, we had him on wires. We had him doing everything, and so he's pretty easy. But you have to obviously make sure that everything's safe. And go over every aspect of it with them, so they feel comfortable in whatever your situation you're putting them in.
That looked painful, dude.
It's supposed to look painful.
He still didn't hit it.
Did he not?
Ask him.
Nicely. Did you hit your nuts? No?
And then, you know, once they feel comfortable with it, I think the kid in them just takes over and they just are having fun and playing.
It's freaky because it's your fucking undercarriage.
I can almost just stay right here, couldn't I? You can.
Oh! Oh! Cut! That's sweet. There was a few things that I had to try for the first time. We tried a few different rigs, stunt rigs that I've never used before. I'm always trying to, you know, find new things about a film and test myself a little bit. And, you know, whatever they throw at me, I'm willing to do. I'm stupid enough. I think that's why they hire me. Ooh, my nuts!
Jason, he's really into his stunts because he is, you know, an action guy, and he wants to be in there, and so he's really really fun to work with in that aspect because he really gets into it.
Oh, it's on now!
No! 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 Stop!
And that's what the case with Amy and Jason were. You know, there were some things that Amy kind of would sort of like at first go, oh, I don't know if I want to do that, but then the next thing you know, she's going, yeah, sure, I'll do it, you know, and then she'd have a blast doing it.
Hey, yeah!
A lot of the stunts I ended up doing myself, partly because I thought it looked really fun. And I got a little sore and hurt from some of them.
The first time we did it was good because Corey had actually already flipped himself onto the windshield in a rehearsal and had already cracked the window just a little bit. So when the stuntman did it, he shattered the windshield. With the second one, they put the replacement windshield in, and we didn't score it because he went through so easy on the first one. We thought, oh, this will be a piece of cake. So Amy flipped him and he landed and nothing broke, and it was a pretty hard hit.
And action!
Hey, you want to hit the glass?
Go again. Corey, can you score the glass again?
All right, Sean.
Yeah, that was good.
But it's Sean Graham, so who cares? And so we went and flipped him again, and then it had little cracks in it, so it shattered the same amount of time. But yeah, that was pretty funny. I forgot about that. That was good.
Well, Bailing's truly one of those actors who will continue to act and continue to do something until you call cut.
She was kind of the loose cannon for me on the set. I was always kind of watching her and going, oh man, I don't know where she's going to go, because Mark and Brian would just kind of let her go and would never really tell her cut. They just let her do whatever crazy stuff she was gonna do.
It's the most fun film I've ever done. It's just like the spirit of the set, of the director and the stars. Everybody just so open, friendly, and young, and creative, very spontaneous.
It's like football players, you know, they're going to keep hitting each other until you blow the whistle, and we really should have blown the whistle.
After she gets hit by the car and then Venus shows up and they have that scene, they never told her cut, so she runs around the street like a crazy person, then ends up jumping in one of the cars.
Bailing was doing her crazy, you know, freaking out, dancing, Tourette's situation, and she wanted to continue on, and she grabs the car off the curb and
then takes off driving it down the road, and I was like, what is she doing? We have to call cut. Where is she going? You know?
Get off the sidewalk. Get off the sidewalk.
And that's a wrap on Bailing for the movie!
I'm not even sure Bailing has a license.
I wouldn't give her a license.
You know? It's a little scary for
If
everybody.
she has a license, then licenses mean nothing.
The way things happen on this film was so like just kind of, I don't want to say fly by the seat of your pants, because there was a lot of stuff that was very planned, but it moved very organic and very fast. So there was a lot of things like that happened that was kind of cool that you normally don't see on, you know, any other film. It just kind of gave it its own element, you know.
You know, when we first were looking for an editor for Crank 2, we were looking at commercial and music video guys, because we wanted somebody who was super flashy and just who had all the tricks in the book and all this. And we always figured, like, you know, character and story in Crank 2, it'll take care of itself.
Our first thought was to have Brian Berdan, who edited the first Crank, but he wasn't available.
We loved our first editor, and he was unavailable for the second one, and in a weird, sad, great way, fortunately, because Fernando came in and brought something different, you know, probably not better, probably, you know, more
Worse,
unique,
actually, no.
you know, but I really mean that it's
in a weird, sad way.
No, because it's great and sad that we didn't have our first editor, and it was awesome that we had Fernando.
I definitely wanted to keep the humor that they had in the first one, you know, because I thought the first one was really funny. So I wanted to make sure that comedy-wise, it was strong, and I was delivering on that aspect.
He was a music video cutter, and his stuff is flashy, and it's over the top. It's awesome. But what amazed us so much about him was how strong this guy is on story and character. I mean, at the end of the day, the Flash was like the least important thing that he gave us.
Because all the action stuff and even like the music-driven scenes, I knew that was going to be fine. But my main focus was on getting the comedy right.
We ended up getting something from him that we never intended to get that was way better than what we thought we were going to get.
Yeah, he literally brought the heart back into the movie.
He's awesome. He's awesome.
Fernando is the best decision we made as far as finding a new member of the team that didn't exist before. He's, you know, we'll work with him on every movie.
I'm pretty sure there were no visual effects in Crank 2, were there?
No, there were no visual effects in Crank 2. It was all natural.
We couldn't afford visual effects. Whatever that guy McQuaid says.
Not really sure what McQuaid's talking about.
There are two sort of categories of visual effects in this movie. One is just general cleanup, which is inherent in the way they make movies. We shot the film on HTV format, which was very liberating for them, and certainly gives you, the audience, shots that you never would have seen in any other way. I mean, you can put cameras and move cameras around. We also had 8, 10, 12 cameras on set running at any one given time, which again allowed for coverage you wouldn't otherwise have ever seen for a movie this size. The downside to it is that pretty much every shot has cameras in it, or it has crew members in it, or it has wires in it, things that just needed to be cleaned up. The other thing we did also a lot of cleanup for was, LA is such a huge component to both movies. Actually, it's sort of in many ways the primary character next to Jason, and they shoot LA like LA looks. The downside of that is there are a lot of things in LA that you can't clear. The big scene with the porn strike, where there's a huge Oprah billboard right behind the porn strikers, which is fantastic in dailies. It's kind of funny to see Oprah appearing down on the scene, but obviously we're never going to get clearance on use of her likeness. So there's a lot of that kind of stuff in the picture as well, just sort of taking out things we couldn't otherwise clear.
The ironic thing about James McQuaid, as conservative as he may appear on the outside, he is a renegade himself, a lot like Neville Dean Taylor. He is not linear in his approach.
We had a sequence at the end of the picture where Jason's on fire, and the initial idea was to do it in camera, to do a stunt guy on fire, and to do the last 2 or 3 shots in CG, where you could actually see Jason's face. But the day, during production, it became pretty apparent that it was hard to shoot the guy on fire without seeing his face, and they actually wanted to see Jason on fire. So, about halfway through a day of spectacular dailies that ever made the movie with a guy on fire, they decided to scrap it all and basically shoot Jason with some tracking markers, and we would do the best we possibly could to cover him with flame and burn his face and things like that.
Thanks for that joke, McQuaid. We're glad you did it, because it worked out.
I'll light McQuaid on fire.
It worked
It's
out.
all real. There's no CG in this movie.
But James is, super creative. James has his own way of doing things that actually works with Mark and Brian, because it's not the typical way to go about it.
We work with a colorist, Ziggy Firstel at Riot, who's just about the best colors in the world, and he was able to take this material and really give it a look that the guys liked, and worked really well within the limitations of HDV. It doesn't have the latitude you would have out of film or something, and create what we put up on the screen.
When they came in with the test and told me what cameras they were planning on shooting on, I was very worried at first. When you're used to working with 35mm film or high-end, video or data capture cameras, whether it's Red, Genesis, whatever, you expect a certain amount of latitude range in the files that you're working with. And my first concern was how much latitude and flexibility as a colorist I'll have. So, because you always want as much as you can have, because it's only in the color correction suite is where you start to decide how you want to color it and how the scenes fit together. So you need all that latitude, and the formats that they were using not necessarily had the best or the widest latitude for me to work with. So definitely a concern first up.
No one, as far as I know, has ever shot a studio theatrical Hollywood movie in HDV, and the tests that we did were okay, to be quite frank. They weren't great. You know, when you stop on any single frame, the image is a disaster. You can see compression artifact, and you can see all sorts of horrible things. Once we got into post, though, and conformed the movie, it was remarkably good. I mean, they obviously are really masters at figuring out how to exploit these cameras for all they're worth. And the sharpness, clarity issues, I mean, they really weren't apparent in the final product. I mean, again, if you do stop on a single frame and look at it, you can see, you know, why it's, you know, you can see the issues inherent in the format. But as a moving image, it's pretty spectacular.
I hope it's not the last time we see Chev. You know, we'll see. We'll see. We have some ideas. I mean, we definitely have some ideas.
We would only want to make a Crank 3 if people really wanted a Crank 3, so we'll have to see what happens.
You know, when you look around, you look at the evening news, and as they say, and you know, all the things that are going on with the world today, there's definitely a decline that's happening in the Western world. Culturally, intellectually, things are basically just heading to the shitter. You know, it's all going downhill.
And we're helping.
The great American experiment, you know, economically and culturally, is basically evaporating into the mist, and you know, beginning the long, inevitable stampede into, like, you know, the equivalent of the final days of Rome or all. This is all happening around us all the time, and so I think that bodes very well for Crank 3. I think the more that this kind of thing happens, the better the chance for something as abominable and useless and amazing as Crank 3 to occur. So just keep rooting for the world to keep falling apart and things to just keep getting worse and worse. And when things hit rock bottom, you can expect Crank 3.